When we have a roof over our head, we can buy nice food, we have spare time to do fun things, then we imagine that we are living in paradise. And in a way, we are. But somehow we don't feel safe. There's a constant tension in our body. And we think that it's a personal failing because we can't really find the source of the stress. We're doing everything we're supposed to do to be safe, to be healthy. So then, why is there such a fundamental disturbance in our body? I believe that it is because we're not actually safe at all. We built a structure of relative safety where we have arranged all of our basic needs, but that structure is very rigid and it is built on the exploitation of other people, of other organisms, and of Earth itself. So we feel that in our body. We feel that the foundation of our safety is deeply rotten. There's a deep problem in how we take care of ourselves. And it makes us feel deeply unsafe because at any moment, the structure could crumble. And we already feel the karmic debt that we have incurred by taking care of ourselves at the expense of so many others. So we can feel that every privilege we enjoy comes at a great cost. And we can feel that cost hanging over our heads like the sword of Damocles. Hi, thank you for tuning in. My name is Ariana. I'm a cultural anthropologist and a human design analyst. And I am deeply interested in what is going on with us, what is going on in the world, and how we can liberate ourselves from all of those structures that aren't working for us. And today, I want to bring our awareness to something uncomfortable because I believe that that's how we heal. We cannot heal, we cannot evolve if we don't bring our attention to the problem area. The thing that I want to talk about today is buried kind of deep. It's a deep fundamental problem that I believe is hidden way in our subconscious. So I think that that's exactly why it's important to talk about, because otherwise we're never going to really figure it out. And that means that we're never going to be able to fix it. We're never going to be able to grow from it. I want to bring awareness to a deep sense of unsafety that is always present within our body. We experience it mostly as a kind of tension, a pressure, an urgency to make things right, to fix things, to bring ourselves to safety. And we are usually not very much aware of it because we believe that we are safe. We we see the conditions around us, and those conditions suggest safety. Most of us have food on our table every day. Most of us have a roof over our head. We have a relatively comfortable way of life. So our mind cannot understand why we do not feel safe. So then it kind of disregards that feeling. It just discredits it and says, oh, yeah, that's just, I'm just weird like that. I don't know why I feel that way because it doesn't make sense. And so I want to talk about why it does make sense that there is a deep unsafety, a deep tension in our body at all times. The first reason is that our entire society is set up to constantly adrenalize every aspect of our life. We are constantly under pressure. A most prominent manifestation of that is advertising. Advertising is all about adrenalizing everything. It is constantly bombarding us with a sense of urgency. You have to buy this now because you have a problem. Something is wrong. So now you have to buy our product and then you will be fixed. Those advertisements are thrown at us all of the time. Even when we're not aware of it, we are seeing them. And that is constantly putting a pressure on us and our bodies to be aware of new problems that we didn't even consider so that we spend our money on fixing them. That's the most obvious one. But what I'm mostly interested in talking about is a deeper reason for our adrenalized experience. We are always feeling unsafety because the structure of society that we have built is fundamentally problematic. There is in its foundation, literally the foundation of our civilization, there are very severe issues that kind of make it impossible for there to be any true safety. To understand that, we have to go back in history to imagine how we used to live before we started building cities, before we developed agriculture. We lived in tribes, we lived in communities, interconnected. We relied on one another. Everybody had their role, everybody had their place. And we were in constant communication. We were in constant connection with not just one another, but with our direct surroundings. We knew the trees, we knew the plants, we knew the animals. We lived together with them in a harmonious situation because there was a mutual respect, there was a mutual exchange. Agriculture and city building changed all of that. It was no longer a balanced exchange of we're us taking something as well as giving something. We started hoarding. We started hoarding resources. And that gave us a sense of safety because if we have a barn full of food, then we can get through the winter and there is less danger of starvation. There is less danger of not making it through. There's a more guarantee for survival. But that hoarding started getting out of control. And that's is what brought us here now, where a very select group in our global population has brought this hoarding to an extreme where they have infinite metaphorical barns full of infinite food, which is basically just rotting there. They don't want that exchange anymore. They don't want balance. They don't want to harmonize with anything. They want to be superior. They want to be grand. They want to be above everything. And they want to hold themselves in a static, unmoving sense of that safety that we imagine when we have a barn full of food. They no longer want any kind of disruption to that sense of safety because that's what they have built their entire being around. And all of us are, in a way, doing the same thing. We are all participating in this hoarding instinct. We are all wishing for more barns full of food because we look at these people with all of their barns and we can see that safety. That's the only sense of safety that we imagine to be real. Because actual safety is no longer an option. Truly being in touch with nature, with our direct surroundings, is not really possible for most of us. We have built this structure of safety at the expense of that harmony. We disconnected from our natural environment in order to rise above it and to sit on our elevated position in this imagined safety, rather than running the risk of not having this static um, structure of safety. So now we are in a position where we don't really have a choice. We can't really go back to any real type of safety. We have to make the best of the system that we've created for ourselves. And that system is a system of exploitation. We exploit nature, we exploit other organisms, we exploit most of people. We exploit each other because we're all obsessed with hoarding resources, and we will do anything to hoard as much resources for ourselves, even when it comes at the cost of the respect and dignity of another person. So we can't think about that anymore. We can't go to that place within ourselves where we feel that need and desire for harmony, for a loving mutual exchange with our environment. We have to go into a place where we excuse that exploitation, where we are okay with the deeply unequal way of organizing that has become normal for us. But it isn't normal. And we don't agree with that. We deeply feel that there's something very wrong with everything about the way we have set up and organized our system. The way we take care of each other always comes at the expense of something and someone else. And we can feel the karmic debt that we are accumulating as we allow that system to continue. And we don't really have a choice. There is really no other way. We can't just all by ourselves disrupt the system. And that is the point. At this, by now, we are all by ourselves. This hoarding instinct has isolated ourselves because, in the end, the more extreme we go into this hoarding, the more we can only keep things for ourselves. We cannot be in mutual exchange with an entire community because we always have to take care of ourselves first. It is exploit or be exploited. And we have to make this decision to survive. So we have isolated ourselves, we have isolated each other. And so we can no longer find that true safety again because we cannot fight for it all by ourselves. We are desperately trying to organize, but the connections we need, the conditions of mutual benefit, of loving exchange, are not there. At the end of the day, we have to choose our own survival. And all kinds of organizing, all forms of community come at a cost that we cannot pay without giving up what we have been hoarding, as little as it might be. We might not be all that rich, but that extreme hoarding programming tells us hold on to what you have at any cost. And at the end of the day, our survival is linked to that. So we cannot let it go. We cannot compromise on it. And by that, we deeply compromise on our true safety. To hold on to that artificial safety, we have to give up our natural safety. And our body is constantly warning us that something is deeply wrong. We have to do something about it, but we can't. So there we sit in a constant state of panic, in a constant state of awareness that something is deeply wrong and the powerless of not being able to do anything about it. That's where that tension is. That's why there's always stress and adrenaline running through our body, because how are we ever going to make things right? How are we ever going to find that balance again? Well, I believe that we are finding that balance again, but it's going to take a really long time to undo or maybe learn from everything we've been through in the past 12,000 years. It's been a long time building towards the structure that we currently have. And it's going to take a really long time to evolve from this place where we got to. We learned a lot, we built a lot, and it's been very enriching. And from here, we're going to start integrating that into a way of being human that is true to who we were before we started this whole adventure. We're going to evolve into finding that true human form along with this whole new awareness that we have found. It's going to be beautiful, but first, it's going to have to be painful and hard. And that's where we are now. Thank you for coming on this journey with me into our depths, into our history, and hopefully into an awareness of something deeper within us. If you would like to share whether this makes sense to you, whether you feel it too, and what you make of it, please leave a comment. And you're also always welcome to send me a message. And then I will see you in the next one.